Hello Gemmers, this is our video journal on how I made the Spring Unsprung doll box room display. Here is the box I used. I did not cut any of the flaps off it at all, so I can keep it as strong as it is since it's mighty wide. First, I used some clear caulking on all the corners. That's maybe not necessary, but I just wanted it to look a little smoother because this particular box had very deep grooves in the edges or the corners, so I didn't want to leave that there. I used a ruler to make most of these lines. Where I couldn't use a ruler, I just freehanded it. And then this caulking is white when it goes on but dries clear. So I, as you can see, was filling all that in. Then I put some in this area, which will be the windows. I wanted to make the left and right texture, but mostly I wanted to hide the clear tape that I had put on it to glue the box together in the back there and keep it strong. So if you look closely, you can see there is some clear tape under there. It's covered really well. This is my favorite product for caulk, and I just get it at the local Lowe's. It's usually near the painting section. Here I'm just showing you a good overview of all the pencil marks that were done. That took about a few hours. Next up is Puffy Paint. Color does not matter. I'm just kind of using some leftovers I had. Great tip. Keep it upside down. That makes the Puffy Paint stay near the tip, and then it's easier to use and you don't get the spits, which are kind of easy because I did get some. I just wiped them off. Anyways, you just go on, and I just started filling in, not too thick. Here you can see I skipped every other one, and just fill in the lines, trace them all. And then I let it dry, of course, at this point, and then waited a few hours till I could put my hand in it and work on it again without messing up what I had already done. This was about a 2.5 day process to fill in all the lines. You can see the shiny part where the caulk is, and definitely that clear tape that was back there is really well hidden, which means I can paint over it easier. Wonderful. Now all the puffy paint is dry, so I'll be ready for the next steps. You can see on the ceiling, ceilings are important, I find, especially this is going to be high, I think, in my display. You got to do those ceilings. It really makes your room look complete. And I added a little chevron style zigzag back and forth up there just to get a little more texture, not be boring white. And here I'm working on the floor. I just found 2 pieces of cardstock craft scrapbook paper, can I spit that out, that matched for the most part. Taped it in the back, not on the top, just underneath. And of course I'm gonna have to cut that back so it fits in, and I am going to be a little short, so I'm just going to make it evenly short on both sides and the back. I'll set that aside for later. So now I have all my stuff in, and I want these squares to pop just a little bit more. So now that it's dry, I'm going to put a second coat just on a few areas so it's even extra thick, and then therefore has a little bit extra dimension. It was really fun to do this room and do something different from the dorm rooms. Just added to the creativity. So let's move on to the Well of Wonder. Was made from a Pringles can. You can see on the markings here kind of what I was doing, and you can make it your own height in whichever you decide. I used a masking tape, used the roll on the top, but you'll see I'll make strips out of cardboard. You could use that too. I just happened to have this around and it was just extra handy. Now I made 2 strips, one wider than the other, and I did end up using 2 of the wider ones because it didn't look good as I started to make it with just one of each. It kind of looked like just a chimney, and that wasn't really what I was going for. So very easy. I just cut those with my craft knife. Use my fingers to kind of roll it so it would make the turns really nice. And here you can see the depth and texture and the different steps it's starting to make. And you can see that it was a little too thin. So that's when I decided to put the second one on. Now here I show it again, and now I've put all my texture on with hot glue. I have shown this many times. I'm pointing out there that I used 2 on the wider one. I've showed this technique so many times I don't want to go over it again, but I will compare here to Holly Holly's chair from her dorm room. If you want some exacts on how I did that, please go check out that video towards the end of the tutorial part, and that will show you exactly how I did it. It's the same repetitive technique, just a different shape, and of course different shaped bricks, and of course I'm going to use different colors. I like my primer, my Zinsser primer, on top of the hot glue. It just makes the glue stick better, cover better, and all kinds of good stuff. I can't say enough about primer and how that helps. The pictures on the internet showed it as a yellow well, so that's why I'm going more with yellow for this kind of brickwork. While I was priming, I primed the whole room. I was going to do it white anyway, so I figured, well, this didn't really exactly need it since there was so much showing cardboard, but I might as well get the coverage since I had it out. I also like leaving stuff in there to see what I'm doing. These are some leftover pieces I had cut off from the shelves from all the dorm rooms, and I kept them because I do stuff like that. And I'm just going to paint those to look like a planter. Here I'm showing you to make sure your brush strokes go in the direction that you're going to do it. That'll just make your end product look better. It's a small tip, but really those brush strokes going the way it's supposed to be, it just, I don't know, you just got to trust me on that one. So here's my blues I'm going to use for the windows, or the sky through the windows. And I have the same ones from the dorm rooms, so that when you see this project as a whole, all the sky in the back and the windows is going to look exactly the same. And then of course I can bump that blue all over the place and then edge it out with the white to make it nice and neat. At this point I'm excited. This box is already looking transformed into something else. So here's those scrap pieces I had. They were tongue depressors, by the way, craft tongue depressors. And I've got those all painted in a nice coral to look like a planter. Here is the Well of Wonder with its first coat of yellow. And here is the window, looking out the window sky. And you can see I made my brush strokes go left and right, so it just gives a little extra to look like the sky. You could also dab it if you wanted, but just make it consistent. And then I will take my white and carefully trim out what is the, yep, here I go, starting to do it a little bit, to trim out this portion, the inside portion, and now I think we're going to have a little pop so it looks different and not quite so much like a box. Like the picture in the internet, it had a little bit darker tones for the mortar, so that's what I did here. The mortar, the grout, I'm not sure what that's called. Just to give it a bottom, I used any old felt. Doesn't show, I just happen to have yellow around. Of course, I traced it, cut it out, and then just put hot glue to hold it in place. I have my leftover Easter basket straw, and I will stuff some in there just so it's not empty. That's not truly necessary. You could use a piece of blue cloth if you wanted. But since I have it around, why not use it up? This is making this project really, really low cost. Okay, now here I'm working on the floor. And I think I'm just showing that I'm going to cut that. I'm going to dab glue it all in just like I've done with all the rest of the dorm rooms. Nothing special. Just put glue on the back all around the edge and a few dabs in the middle. Press it down well. When it's done, to make that little edge that I'm short all around, I'm just using some Puffy Paint to edge around it just so it doesn't look like a piece of paper laying there. I thought it would help give it a little extra oomph. I've put my little pieces on now, and I think those are starting to look like planters. I concentrated on getting the bottoms even since I know I'm going to put some flowers on the top. And yeah, what do we have here? I don't know. I guess I just liked gazing. Oh, we have flowers. These were some leis that Grace got at one of her friends' birthday parties, and just try to make some use from them. I can make the planters very complicated, and you could really go to town in here with plants and stuff and make it more vibrant, but I didn't want to take away from the Spring Unsprung head pieces and that. That's why I went simple. Now another little detail, since I really am making these displays, is the stands. I wanted the stands to blend in because they stand out amongst the floor, so I'm going to prime and paint those to match. Using the duct tape around the edge just like all the rest of the rooms, so of course for end product the whole thing is going to look similar and still continue with that continuity I've been talking about since the first parts of this project. For those flowers, all I did was pinch them together in the center and then hot glued them on. It was so simple. And then I took some, you can see on the right chair there, and I cut them to make petals I can put all over the floor. I have some little accessories here that I'm going to work with and paint up just a little bit. Like I said, keeping it simple. I love this as a scrapbook thermometers. It really works too. Here's a big gem I have around, and I'm just going to put that on the top for a ceiling light to add to that. Like I said, the ceilings, you got to give them a little attention. They look so much better and make your room more complete. So now I'm pulling away the furniture. You can see that those stands really pop out way too much, and I don't like it, especially in such a small area. And here you can see there's just that thin little line of puffy paint on the floor, and this is done and dry. So I'm going to take Mod Podge and cover all that floor up. That will make it sealed so the paper won't get scratched, and also especially seal my little fold line there, my little cover line where I matched up the two pieces of paper. And I'm just showing, why not have some little petals all over the floor for a nice little addition to the room, which is all about spring and flowers. I'm so silly. So what am I doing next? Gazing again. Oh, here's the little book which came from the Way to Wonderland set. And I only used some primer, Zinsser, and white to make the pages, silver in the middle for the little mirror part, and then Sharpie, simple Sharpie, just to accent some of the gold spots and give that a little more life. Here's this. I did end up antiquing it just a little bit, dry brushing it with a metallic green on top of it. Don't have to do that. And this you don't have to do as well, but I wanted to. I used a matte spray sealer on top of the stands and the Well of Wonder, just because I have it around. You don't have to go to the store and buy it. I just wanted it. I had it done. I had it here, so I did it. I made some simple cushions, and of course I didn't want the whole back cover because I didn't want to lose that detail on the back of the wicker. And they're just there looking cute. Yellow seemed appropriate. Like I would sit the dolls on and they would pop out from that. And I like it. I'm liking it a lot. And let's bring a little yellow hue from the Well of Wonder too. So now what did I do? I just gazing, looking around, playing. I do that. Oh, I got some little gems. Of course I had to do a little bling, just a little bling. I didn't use much. I didn't want to overdo it, but just a little sparkle here and there on the lattice work. I did a little bit of puffy paint around that big gem, just so it didn't look like it was just stuck there. How I love puffy paint. And I had some scrapbook pictures, stickers that I put on to be as pictures in the room. Like I said, not too much. There's so much more you could do with this room. But for the most part, I was keeping it simple, as I said, so the dolls will pop, which I think in the end is really what happened, and I'm happy with. If you were to do this, like this would be a great room for Gloom Bloom Monster High. You can go to town. So here it is in a picture. I think the dolls pop. Check out the video of the tour of that. Shout outs. Thank you, Jammers. Hope you got some good tips from this video journal. Enjoyed it. And tell me what you think in the comments down below. See you next time.